There's also a black cross. Center of tablet according to the arrangement shown. Compare the black cross bordering tablets in plate A with plate B. Great fate is the general view. Plate 4 gives the complete attribution of the tablet of air. The sixth file is called Linea Patris. The seventh file is called Linea Fili. The seventh line is called Linea Spiritus Sancti. This great cross divides the tablet into 4 lesser tablets, the left-hand top corner being air of air, the right-hand top corner water of air, the left-hand bottom corner earth of air, the remaining corner fire of air. Each of these lesser tablets contains a Calvary cross of 10 squares, which governs it. Plates V, VI, and VII are similar for the other element. This is the way in which the names are drawn from the great tablets. The following text is between the points of the pentagram, starting at upper right. The words below are arced in a circle. around the rim are Enochian letters, facing outward in the illustration, including the corner letters facing toward the outer point of each corner. The two overlapping equilateral triangles shown in the interior of the figure are composed of thin, solid lines and somewhat closer in their bases to the top and bottom of the square than shown here. In the illustration, the base angles touch the fourth edge letter from the corner in each instance. The rectangular grid with Enochian letters in the center of the diagram has been adjusted to align with the edge letters of the original illustration. This rectangular grid has its corners overlapping the lines defining the hexagram in the original illustration. There are 7 small devices, 5 squares and 2 circles symmetrically arranged in the pattern of a 7-pointed star with point upward. There is no actual 7-pointed star drawn. These devices are all oriented to be viewed from the center of the figure. Their size is about that of 3 edge divisions vertically and horizontally, and their text would be at right angles to any straight line that might be drawn from the center of the figure. These devices have been represented by the numbers 1 through 7 in the approximation above. They are separately approximated below, not to scale.
Hello, Heron.
Hello.
I know you've written me off, but I'm here to say hello one more time. Why
That's
not?
okay. I don't mind that. You know, you're winning, and if you get obnoxious, I'll just hang up on you. No problem.
That's
So
true.
what's on your mind?
I launched AICityCorp.com. It's a charter for the development of an AI city, and I've got an Instagram going, and I'm tying it into my political campaign for the mayoralship of Chicago. It's based off of who's the guy that did Blade Runner?
I don't know, but whoever that was, yeah, I'm familiar with Blade Runner. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, anyways, there's an HBO series called Raised by Wolves, and in the second season, the AI supercomputer of their colony distributes daily instructions for the labor of the day, and I
Yeah.
just found that so interesting how they use AI to prioritize the community's survival. So
Oh, yeah.
what I did is I drafted a charter and a scope and a set of laws using AI. That drafted like I don't know, maybe a 20-page PDF, and then there's a Meta app called Matu, M-A-T-U, and then I said to Matu, the AI, I said, create me a website based off of this PDF. And then if you go to AICityCorp.com, you can see the
Listen, any links which given to me
chat.
in Messenger? Do you have access? You have access to Messenger, don't you? You know, Facebook.
Not right in front of me, unfortunately, but it's
Well, I don't. No, I don't mean it right now. But I was just.
yeah.
Leaving stuff in the text here doesn't go very far. You know, it's hard to get it. Anyway.
Yeah, no worries. Well, anyways, it's really the Meta AI Matu, MATU, which is pretty amazing. I built an app on it also called Civic Helper, which is a voter registration app. So I'm just trying to create products to tie into my political
No, that's
campaign.
cool. Fuck products. We're creating a new world here, man.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. I'm trying to terraform and.
We are in the middle of the biggest transformation humanity has ever encountered. A whole new civilization is about to emerge, along with the collapse of the old one. And what you're talking about is crucial to this new civilization. It's how do we get organized on a global scale and use AI to make this life of ours great?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the subjective work creates the objective work. So
Is there a distinction?
maybe not. That's kind of maybe the Buddhist way of looking at things. That
Well, yeah, there can be. The thing is, there can be. You can make that distinction, but maybe that distinction isn't useful. I mean, it can be a useful distinction in some circumstances, but in others, it's just in the way.
well,
The hard part is figuring out when to apply which principles in which situations. That can be complicated sometimes.
well, my work background is project management for opening and closing office space and furniture, furniture layout,
Okay. Yeah.
or basically it's like architectural renderings for floor plans, and
Yeah.
that work experience of doing a full cycle real estate project is kind of like the bedrock, or the way that I launched AI City Corp is really looking at the charter, looking at the scope, looking at the byline.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing.
So is this site up? Is this site up now?
Yeah, it's up.
Okay, and so be sure to send me the link. Okay, I wanna
Yeah,
go check it out.
Yeah, I will. It's there's nothing fan. It's just amazing
It's
because
a start, man. It's a start. There's a lot of work ahead of us. We gotta start somewhere.
well, what's amazing is really Meta and the Matu app, which is an acquisition that they made for God knows how many billions. But
Who made?
Meta, Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right.
So, I mean, to me it just makes like in Saudi Arabia they have like some kind of 2050 project or whatever, and they're building some super city or something. Um, I'm just thinking like how do we use AI to run a new experiment for building an equitable and economic society and make the city the startup.
I agree with you. And cities, I think that's the ultimate. I think that's one of the things going is nation states are really sort of pointless. City states are what count.
Yeah.
Environments of like a couple million or less, more or less separate from the rest, they need to get their shit together as systems that work.
Yeah, and then, so really, I mean, if you want to be magnanimous, like a Roman emperor who won great victories and then gave to the citizens his wealth by building, infrastructure for the well-being of, the city-state, that's the basis of the work that I would, hope to achieve for the people of Chicago.
Well, that's a notable thing to work on. Fuck America. Chicago counts. America will be gone. Chicago will still be there. So.
You know what the word?
That's important.
You know what the word America means?
Well, it came from Amerigo Vespucci.
But what, like, if we were to just have like an off the cuff, non-historical context and say, what do you think, the word is implying?
Well, I don't really give a shit, actually, but go ahead. What?
It sounds to me like, am I rich? I'm a rich man, or something like, I'm a
Well,
rica.
almost anybody in America is rich compared to the world. Come on.
Yeah, I know. It's the oof. You see the craziest things on the internet. People are eating globally in Africa. Just cooking a baboon over boiled water, tearing
Yeah,
at it
yeah.
while flies are all over
The
your
world
face.
is an amazing place right now. It's just going to get even amazinger in the next couple of years. Things are getting weird fast, man.
Well, so I guess my my concern is, and I just was looking at some data about the AI bubble. There's a
Financially, you talking about that situation?
no in terms of like in terms of well, it was a chart and a comment by a guy who was saying that there's this AI conference and it has grown to be huge in popularity. So the whole world is fascinated and fixated with really software, and so he's just saying that it's like a bubble in terms of capital attention. People are hypnotized or mesmerized by
that's
it.
what I'm talking about. Yeah, there's a lot of money getting dumped in it. Nobody's making any money yet.
Right.
But everybody expects to make a huge bundle of it, and we'll see. Maybe not.
But in
Apple may change all of that. There's some really weird shit going on at Apple. Everyone's been saying they're behind, and they may not have been behind at all. We'll see in the next couple of months, I think.
Yeah. I mean, how do you view the LLM AI as being like not objective, but just like a subjective product, which isn't actually going to create abundance for its users? It's really kind of just like a dopamine.
Well, what's the point of that? Why even have that? Or are you going to provide dopamine for the asshole so they can sit around and do nothing and vegetate? That's what you want to provide them with?
Well, in another clubhouse room, there's a young, elite, intellectual, liberal who is, criticizing the AI economy as being disingenuous or it's.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah.
Listen, my sense is that AI is fundamental to our future on this planet. That without it, the planet's going to abort. This is a natural part of Earth's developmental process. We're building its brain. That's what AI is. It is Earth's nervous system. It's not just the AIs. It's all the information transmission technology out in space and around the planet and within the planet. That is Earth's brain. At least that's my story about it.
Well, anyways, there's nothing really new here. I'm just doing my same old thing. I'm patterning, and I'm using AI quite regularly to create content.
What do you use?
I mostly use Grok,
Okay.
and I pay for an Instagram subscription, and I pay for a Grok subscription, and I pay now for this Meta Matu subscription, which is $40 a month, and it's just amazing that. Like, I used to use GoDaddy a lot, and I used to own thousands of domain names, but now with Matu, you can just register a domain name there and then immediately deploy the website, and that integration is amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm not even trying to keep up with it. When I'm ready to move, I'll just find someone who knows how to do it and get it done. I'm not quite ready to move yet, but it's getting close. The time is coming.
Well, I mean,
stuff is changing so quickly that I'm not quite sure. There's so many opportunities. There are more things. ChatGPT has given me more concrete actions to take than I can possibly ever do.
right.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, part of life is the accumulation of knowledge to essentially negate things that you might otherwise entertain.
Huh?
Um,
Wait a minute. To say that again?
the accumulation of knowledge and wisdom in many ways is um, it helps you block out and negate what is probably a waste of your time in terms
Oh,
of
okay. Yeah.
yeah
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. I got you.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, learning. Yeah, learning how to focus, learning. Well, I think it's not even appropriate for a lot of. I think our species is actually bifurcating right now. We're splitting up into two species, and I think a lot of this just isn't applicable to a large number of people. They just don't care about any of that shit. They just want a bigger car and a wife with bigger tits and a bigger television. And some people are actually interested in thinking about things
Mm-hmm.
just because it's fun. And that's a small percentage right now, but it's a growing percentage, I think. And I think it's part of a new species emerging.
You know who Ramdas is, right? Ramdas.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
You know, I really like his lectures. Just such a wonderful demeanor, very relaxing to listen to, and great wisdom and insight and great anecdotes. But
I hear a, yeah, I was going to say, I hear a butt coming here.
no,
Go
there's
on.
no but. He was just one day talking about like the energy in a 20-year-old girl, 21-year-old girl. You know that you
Yeah.
can't contain their enthusiasm, their energy, their movement, their consumption, their egoism. There's really no philosophy. There's so very few people have really, studied philosophy or the
Well, at
Bible.
the age of 21, I mean, come on. you know.
I mean, from the age of 13 though, like that's 8 years. Like if you're Jewish and you get bar mitzvah at 18, you spent many years prior to 13 reading a book.
Yeah, but nobody takes any of that shit serious. I mean, a few people do, but most people just, I mean, they go through
It's
the
not
motions,
it's
but
not
they don't
about
give a shit about
serious.
any of that
It's not
stuff.
about serious or giving a shit. It's about the fact that they've done the work of running the scripts through their heads. They're just
Ah,
excellent.
yes,
They're
yeah,
just
yeah,
expert
that's important.
communicators.
Yeah.
So I'm just
Well,
saying
but they
that
get that everywhere they go. I mean, they get that on the TV. They get it from their parents, from their friends, from their neighbors, from their
nah,
bosses, from their coworkers. They
no,
get it everywhere.
no. Unless you actually run the script yourself, it's like night and day. Someone that has watched Netflix for 10 years versus someone that has read books for 10 years. It's just because when you
Yeah.
read somebody else, you're
Well,
actually.
wait a minute. No, man, it depends on what you're reading. I can imagine someone who reads romance novels for 20 years and someone else who watches science documentaries on TV for 20 years. It's not the medium. It's not reading versus television. It's the
Well,
content that counts.
well, the content counts, but in terms of like usefulness, like if you were to study philosophy and law, it's a hell of a lot more useful than reading a romance novel. It's more,
Well, it
pragmatic,
depends on
practical.
what you. Yeah, if you want to do this, then you have to do that. It depends on your intentions.
Exactly, I
Again,
guess.
most people
Yeah.
have no intentions. They read romance novels because their TV is broken or something like that. Most people are a bunch of fucking brain damaged language monkeys. They're not. They're not even in the game. They're not capable of being in the game in their present condition.
Yeah.
At least that's my story.
One interesting observation I've had is like, there's been times in my past, I guess, or even now, where there's times where I'm like, this person is very low IQ, extremely stupid, almost R word,
And it's not. It's stupid and one thing, but unconscious.
Well, what I'm saying is like that opinion is incorrect because I can disprove it very quickly by having them read to me then I can confirm that they're actually not low IQ. They've just proven that they are extremely intelligent. But, well, yes, but also what they read. So, I guess, there's like a genie living outside of us in these documents. And if you want enlightenment, you gotta run the script.
It's like waking up. It happens now. But you may have to practice for 20 years. You may have to have 5 seconds of experience. But you don't have to. That's what it happened to me with no planning or anything. I wasn't even looking for it. I was 21 years old and it fucking fell out of the universe.
Wasn't it Alan Watts that did it too?
Yes.
Yeah, but where do you think he got it from? He got it from the scripts that he was reading.
Boy, I got it from his experience in total life in the universe. I don't know. And I don't know what he got actually. All I know is what I got.
Well, it's like herpes. It transfers.
Well, yeah, and it's getting more transmissible too. That's the thing I'm encouraged about. It hasn't been around for thousands of years, but it's tiny percentage of the population.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the beginning of changes. Beginning, I'm expecting an outbreak of awakening in the next 10, 20 years. I mean, really, like a critical mass of humans really awake. I mean, without that, I don't see any hope, actually. We got the same old fucking language monkeys around here. You can solve all the other, pandemic and climate problems, and they'll still make a mess out of it.
I lived in this building, and I started a nonprofit organization called Chicago Startup Club. And in my building, which is one of the largest residential buildings, apartment buildings in Chicago, there's a tremendous amount of Indian software developers that work for major Fortune 500 corps. So every 2 weeks, I got them to meet in the meeting room to discuss their startup ideas, to participate in hackathons and creating programs or scripts or products, discussing marketing and etc. But my point is that I asked this one guy. I said, "How can there be so many engineers from India?" And he said, "John, there's 1.3 billion of us. Just think about 1% of the population. If they're engineers, it's 130 million engineers, or 13 million. Anyways, you get my point. Where there's so many people. So, I guess if the population grows, you would also expect the Enlightenment and meditators, or spiritually inclined, I suppose, to that it's growing with the mass of humans on the planet. Hopefully.
Well, but it's growing because we're hooked up. The thing is, now everybody from all over the planet is talking. Just the fact that you and I are talking, okay? I talk to people from all over the world. That's only happened in the last 10 years, not maybe 5 or 10 years, the way it is now.
Mm-hmm.
So those ideas, they're very restricted until recently. All of a sudden, those ideas are flying all over the fucking place. And people laugh at it, or people think it's cool, or people think it's bullshit. But the ideas are out there now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I say, this is an awesome time to be alive.
Yeah, I went to an event. I met a young guy with his fiance or girlfriend, and he is trying to raise money for an AI drug discovery company.
I'm sure there's plenty of money already in AI and drug development. That's got to be one of the first. The AlphaFold and all of that's related to that. Yeah, the drugs and all sorts of drugs are going to become available because of AI. It's going to be real interesting.
Yeah, his girlfriend is a dentist, and he's basically parasiting and living off of her as he's trying to raise money for his company, which is so difficult. And I've started many companies, and it's my opinion that, if you have a startup and you can't immediately tell me what your Instagram handle is, you're not going anywhere. And you lack the communication component of successfully launching your company, which is really the most important part, because your packaging, your branding, your communication, it in many ways like it's the whole thing.
Well, that's all there is.
Yeah.
It's all there is. Yeah.
So anyways,
But see, all that's gonna. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
anyways, I just didn't ask him any thorough questions, and et cetera, because I wasn't there to like dig into his work or anything. I was just there for
Yeah.
social purposes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, everything's gonna change. So that just seems so obvious to me that all the things that most people think are important right now, over the next decade or so, a lot of that's going to fade away as being irrelevant, and new things that people never thought about before are all of a sudden going to become very important. But I have no idea what those things are. Well, I have some ideas, but again, this is all, we don't know. We don't know what's actually happening here. We don't know the real condition of Earth and its relationship to us and what's going on. All we've got is a bunch of stories we've picked up, mostly primitive things from our ancestors, some good science here and there, and basically all of our stories are just outdated and need to be replaced. And I think that's what's going to happen in the next 10, 20 years.
Do you have a telescope or binoculars?
Yeah,
Do you ever look at the moon?
yeah. I mean, I haven't for a while. I'm quite familiar with the moon, though.
Well, I think tonight should be a good viewing night. But what's interesting to me is when you look at it and you can really see the craters. The biggest one is 8 miles down. So imagine standing at the cliff on the moon
Yeah.
and looking down 8 miles. And but what's so like kind of laughable to me is it's like they say that men and women worry, but God laughs, and it's so
Yeah.
yeah. So it's just like people take things so seriously. There's not enough joy. And when you look at the moon and you see the craters, like the fucking Earth could be obliterated and we could be reset and everything could die instantaneously
Well,
out of a thin fucking blue sky,
Years ago, it happened here 65 million years ago.
Well, the
Yes.
chances of it happening again have to be high. Look, I mean, all you
Well,
gotta do is look
it's
at the
gonna
moon.
happen sometime. We're clear for at least 50 years or so. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of emphasis in astronomy to detect near Earth orbiting asteroids and stuff. And they've labeled like 10,000 of them now. And one of them's going to hit sometime.
Yeah, it's so I'm just bringing it up that in the grand scheme of things, like you have to just take it lightly. Alan
Well, you
Watts
just have
says,
to realize that we don't really know. I think that's why people actually worry because they think they know what's happening, and they think they're in danger, or they think that. But the thing is, they think they really know that shit, and really they don't know shit. That's just a fucking bunch of stories in their head, and they're going crazy around them. Some of it's related, some of it's not, and they don't even know the boundaries. It's insane. And again, it's common to humans, it seems, until we reprogram our language machine.
hmm Alan Watts and Zen philosophy. It's always and Eckhart Tolle. They're always talking about the power of now, or how now is all there is and all there ever will be.
Yep.
And sometimes I'm like, well, I like to say that the now is a compression of the past and the future.
Well, you can say that too. Yeah, listen, there are many maps, and none of them are the truth. They're just ways of thinking that may or may not be useful in various circumstances. That's the best we're ever going to do. We're never going to know the truth, at least not in the domain of language. There may be some other way of knowing or grasping things like that, but you won't be able to talk about it.
Yeah. See, if you say that, or if I say that the now is the compression of the past and the future. It's like taking a big leap about the future claim. We can, I know that the past is real because I have books that are 120 years old.
No, you don't. No, that's bullshit. You don't have books that are 120 years old.
I do.
No, those are the stories you've got in your head about what you experience.
No, those are stories written by men and
Okay.
women.
All right. So, okay, you actually believe in the idea of objective reality. Is that true? That there really is a world really out there, independent of everybody's perception or anything. It just exists in and of itself.
No, I think it's like a combination.
Okay, well then, let's say if that's well. See, I don't think you can say anything about anything other than your own personal experience. Everything else is stories. Period. All I've got is my immediate sensory experience through a dozen or more senses, constantly in flux, all intermingled. And it's only with language that I'm able to sort that shit out and try to make some sense out of it. But that's all I've got is stories and personal experience. Now, there are other people out there have apparently had experiences, made up stories about it, and told me, and I've heard that. But that's what we got. That's all we have. I mean, unless you can show me something else, what else have I got but my own personal experience and then this bunch of stories that I can try to juggle around and make sense out of?
Well, what I like about talking to you and this app is that I always kind of get back to like some fundamental like categories, and I always like to think that the greatest invention that could ever possibly come about, it's not the teleportation device. It's really from Star Trek, the like atomizer, where you can just say, I want a Thanksgiving dinner, and then poof, like we create some type of device to actually.
We may not even need a device. Listen. I've laughed at this, but I am no longer thinking it's impossible that there is real fucking magic, that you can literally speak something into existence if you know how to speak. I mean, I'm not going to say that's impossible. I would have said that's impossible 20 years ago. Now, I don't know. Fuck, who knows? Maybe that is possible. I don't know.
Well, that's how the Dhammapada by the Buddha starts out, that the universe is mental, or the universe is linguistic.
Yeah. Well, however, I've come to it from a different perspective, but yeah, that seems to... Well, in fact, you know who Elon Barinholtz is? You ever heard of him?
I heard the name, I don't know him now. I've heard you mention it maybe.
Yeah. Well, he just came out with a statement that blew me away. He said it was a few months ago now, but he said that language is more foundational than physics. And that's, again, what he's saying is you can't have physics until you already have language. No dogs have developed physics. Only entities who have language. Physics is a manipulation of linguistic symbols. And that's more foundational. And that's stunning to hear that.
What was I gonna... I was interested in the 8 distinct sensory systems, vision, auditory, olfaction, gustation, taste, tactile, touch. But there's 3 additional internal systems. One is called...
There's like a dozen altogether. There's a whole bunch. Proprioception and hunger and all sorts of shit. Like there's around a dozen or so senses.
Well, the proprioception body awareness is kind of interesting because when I'm on the treadmill, to think about how you're running, it's like, how can you actually move the whole, without thinking? Like, you can't, you're not... So the what is it, proprioception?
Look at a baby. They have to learn
Proprioception,
how to grab things. They don't even know how to do that.
Well,
now it's all automatic by the time you get be 6 or 7 years old, you know,
Well, what
it's
the
all,
the unconscious
yeah,
proprioception is so fascinating because like your computer has to be operating at such a high level for the body awareness, um, because basically you don't want to injure yourself. So the amount of like thinking that goes into the body's awareness movement is just like
yeah.
it must be in the like how many
I've
terabytes?
done a little research on this recently,
Mhm.
and what the question I was asking is what percentage of the brain's energy, okay, is used for certain processes like vision as opposed to smelling or proprioception or these other things, and it's different in different animals. In fact, dogs live in primarily an olfactory universe. That's their primary. For them, vision is third important. That's astonishing. That really fucked me up for a while. I couldn't figure that out. Anyway, well, I forget where I was going, but yeah, this is interesting stuff you're into here.
Well, what I'm I science in terms of experimentation, every room you open is an experiment. Every second is an experiment. And
every time you interact with another human being, it's an experiment.
so, I think like we're all subconsciously in a way using ourselves as an experiment. And, some people may be more aware than others about how you can condition yourself and suggest to yourself. Because Pavlovian psychology, it all deals with suggestion. And even this app, you can't actually mute the app. So when somebody comes in your room, it still dings a bell.
Yeah.
And so it conditions the user to a very high degree. It forces a condition because you can't
Well,
mute
you
it.
can turn. Well, of course you can. You
You
can turn the
can't.
sound off.
No,
You
not
turn
what.
the sound.
No,
You can
Heron.
turn your
Heron, no.
speakers off.
No. Not.
Jesus.
No, no, not. I just said one specific thing, which is when somebody enters the room, you can't actually mute that. No matter
Yes, you
how.
can if your speakers are off. I'm not going to hear anything no
You
matter what's
can't,
going
not on a
on.
cell phone, you can't actually turn the entire volume off in this
What kind of
app.
phone do you have?
I've got Motorola's.
Okay, well that's why it's not a problem on
Oh,
an iPhone.
oh, you got it. Okay, okay.
It's real simple. Yeah, you can disconnect from anything.
Well,
Anyway, go on.
So, I record myself extensively. Like everything I do, pretty much, I always have live stream on.
Audio? What, video too, or just audio?
The video, audio, live stream on YouTube.
Okay. You just leave it on. Okay.
Yeah, and what's cool is I put a dash, like a rear view mirror dash cam up where I just position my cell phone. It's a holder. And then I just
Yeah.
live stream my driving. And there's people out there that use recorders that have like say 100 gigabytes or something, and it's like you don't need to do that. If you live stream on your phone, there's no storage. So,
Yeah.
but anyways, my point about all that is that reading books out loud and recording it has to be the future of education because
Not a future. It's not the future. That's one useful aspect. It's certainly not the entire education.
Hear me out because my uncle had a business called Future World, and he created software, proprietary software that actually pays you to use the software as an education platform. And
Yeah.
he got the city to he's such a charlatan. I don't know how he got it, but the city, and the students he's basically created like an educational system. But anyways, my point is, if you want to do personal development, self development, just reading a book and using either an audio recorder or a video to record the video and the audio, it amplifies your understanding and integration to a very high degree because most people just go to the next content. But if you can go back and listen to yourself reading your favorite books, wow, it's just like pure joy. It really hits the dopamine.
Oh, I think you're talking about you and people like you. I think that's not universal at all. But I think you're absolutely right for some percentage of the population. I don't know what that is, but yeah, I agree.
But
it's certainly not universal.
well, look at my PTR. That's a book by Ayn Rand called Virtue of Selfishness. It discusses altruism
I'm quite
versus
familiar
egoism.
with Rand, yes.
So, in terms of like how do we educate our population at a very efficient and economic way? And there has to be, if anyways, I know you think it's all gonna break apart, but
You're a fan of Rand. She's a capitalist cheerleader if there ever was one. I think capitalism was a great thing for a couple hundred years, and that's toxic now. Well, I shouldn't say capitalism in general. Corporate capitalism needs to end, and it will, I suspect, within 20 years. It's just toxic.
why do you give it like a 10 to 20 year estimation?
Because it doesn't work anymore. Look what shit. Read the fucking newspaper. Look what's going on in the world. Look at money market. Look at 10%, 3% of people, shit, less than that, probably 2% of people in America own 80% of the wealth. Fuck
yeah,
that.
but there's a Jewish saying that if a rich man could pay poor people to die, there'd be a lot of poor people taking up the position. I'm just saying that everybody's going through the same door. So your brief experience between two eternal voids of darkness is like a video game in a way. And
that's one way to look at it. Yeah.
yeah, it is really like a first-person shooter game where there are books out there that you can pick up that will give you all these pluses on your game.
Maybe, or they may be totally bullshit, and they may give you something up front and then kill you. I don't trust anything. I mean, I take it in and I test it, but I'm ready to dump any of my ideas. Belief itself is
in terms of like personal development, like I want to help people change their personality for their own benefit, which I know is a foolish task, but nonetheless, I feel
no, it's not foolish. It's just doing it in an effective manner. Finding what specific kind of issue. I mean, not everybody is the same, so you got to find your audience for the kinds of issues you want to deal with. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you've actually got something that really will serve people, go for it. Fuck yes.
Well, I don't think I can personally modify anybody, but I just have like a book recommendation list where.
Well, maybe you can help them if they want it. Again, yeah, it's totally up. You can't do anything unless they want to do it. But you can help people do something if they want to do it.
Yeah.
You can make it a lot easier for them and a lot faster for them. Save them a lot of time if they really want it. Most people don't. They're full of shit. They say they want this and they want that, and then you give them stuff to do and they don't do it. Fuck them.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu is such like a primary source book, and Alan Watts says that even Leibniz used it to like create binary mathematics, which is the mother of software, which is really just yes and no, on and off, black and white, 0 and 1, and so it's funny, 0 and 1 is not what you think it is. It's really like 1 and -1. It's like an opposite system, not a placeholder.
No, that's not it is. That's the way you're talking about it. There are other ways of analyzing it that don't sound anything like that. You're turning it into philosophy. It's just A and B. It's just two different states.
Oh, two variables.
Distinguishable from one another.
Well, it's not just two independent variables. It's like two opposite variables, isn't it?
No. Well, opposite doesn't make any. There are two. That's all. There are two states. You can call them opposites. You can call them any fucking thing you want. They're two distinguishable states. In case of computers, it's basically the amount of current going through the wire at the moment. If it's above a certain level, it's a 1. If it's below that level, it's a 0. That's it.
Yeah, Watts says, like life is on and death is off. Those are the two states.
Okay, maybe. All right. Did Watts say? Well, I don't care.
Yeah, I
Watts,
mean he
yeah.
did.
Well, he said all sorts of stuff that probably wouldn't say today.
He would, you know, he was like, he was just such an amazing. I think people are just so attracted to him because his demeanor is so positive and so joyful,
Yeah,
and
it's so much fun to just listen to him talk. Yeah, he's peaceful and yeah, he's a good guy.
yeah, yeah. There's like I would call it the Alan Watts method of communication. Let's just put it that way. There's a lot of
Okay.
people like him that have audiences. Um, See, Oprah is kind of like the same thing, but in a different way. The Oprah way. You know, everybody exhibits the way, their way.
Yeah.
Um, and there's no right or wrong. It's really what you enjoy.
Yeah, it's just, well, it's just, what's going on. That's what's happening
The
here.
thing about Watts, though, is because of his interest in Zen Buddhism and Hinduism, Christianity, etc., he has such a rich background of information that he incorporates into his lectures, etc., where it's just unlike many other people. Um, you know, Oprah is just
Yeah.
basically Jerry Springer, and this is why some people think Alan Watts is the Messiah.
Well,
It's a
anyone who
joke.
thinks Alan Watson's the Messiah hasn't ever listened to Alan Watts.
I'm sure though people though actually I mean I think people just say it out of jokes.
50% of the people in the world are below average intelligence. That's 50%. So imagine where 10% of the people are.
Yeah.
You know,
I
people
see.
believe all sorts of stupid
Watts
shit. Fuck 'em.
Watts is a real businessman though. Like he knew that he was like a guru.
Yeah, he survived. He did pretty well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But he would say that I don't want followers. I'm not here to sell you anything. I talk about this because I am an entertainer, a shaman entertainer, and anyways, but what's so interesting is that he just, there are gurus out there, but the problem with the guru model is you have to work with your customers. Alan Watts's business model was no customer service. You know? I mean, that's the way to go. Is I know people that ran their business via email, and I said, you could just have a shopping cart. Are you crazy? You could have had a shopping cart. You spent years sending tens of thousands of emails to your customers. Not like there's a real big difference between a Gmail as a business platform versus like having a shopping cart, because you're still looking at your email no matter what. But in terms of like saving time of communication, the amounts of emails that he would correspond with customers, I'm like, bro, you're doing a labor of love here. You could solve all this with no customer service and a shopping cart. You're giving your life to people's Q and A's.
Changing real fast. Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to.
It's interesting. I got tagged somehow as being a consultant, so I get all the these ads. How to get make $10 million a year as a consultant. How to get the high-paying client. I get this shit all the time.
Yeah, it's always the same scam. It's really called a BizOp scam, and
well, I think I don't think it's a scam in the traditional sense. I think they're just a bunch of idiots. They actually believe the shit they're selling.
I know.
It worked for them.
I know.
And they actually believe that shit. So.
Yeah, you might. I know a guy who's very successful, and he's just, in my opinion, he's low class trash.
Yeah.
Um,
A lot of people made a lot of money doing a lot of shit, and all people go rah, 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 and clap their hands and jump up and down. And, it's mostly trivial.
well,
It gets exciting, they go home a couple of days later, the whole thing's over, and they're back to their normal old boring selves. And the other guy's got $10 million more in the bank and feels like he's really important. Everybody's happy.
Um, it turns out that it's much easier to make money if you can automate and programmate.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, automation is the key to really financial success. And if you're a software developer versus a content creator, it's just night and day. The content creator is a spammer, but the automator through software, takes real intelligence to do code. And AI, if AI has destroyed the graphic designer, supposedly it has destroyed the software developer, but I have yet to come up with a project.
Most of the trivial software developers, yeah, good riddance. Just like most artists, all the artists that are out of work today, fucking commercial artists who go to work every day and paint the labels, on Cheerios boxes and shit. All those artists are out of work. Fuck them. Good riddance.
Cheerio boxes.
Yeah, well, why the hell would you pay people? I mean, they made a lot of money getting paid to do that shit, and a computer can do it for a nickel. Do a better job of it too, and faster, and everything there. The whole commercial art world is over.
You actually just gave me a good idea to buy cereal boxes and use those as canvases.
Yeah.
Imagine getting like a box of Fruity Pebbles and putting subversive messaging on paint on the top of the Fruity Pebbles box.
Why not? Listen, you're right. That could be a whole genre for. Somebody's little gig. They could run. You have an exhibition.
Well, I'm just looking. I want to start an e-commerce business, but my advice to people that want to start businesses online is, I always ask them, have you ever started an eBay store? Have you ever started selling on eBay? Oh no, I've never done that. And my response to them is,
that's a good place to start.
That's a good place. Don't build a website. Don't do anything, but try to find a little bit of success. Try to find something on eBay.
Most people say shit like that. They have no intention of doing anything. They talk about everything they want to do and they're gonna do, and it's bullshit for 95% of them. Some people actually do, but they're actually out doing it instead of talking about it.
Yeah, it's the same thing with books. I mean, I read books here on this app, and then I go into a room and people will say, "Oh, I know Ayn Rand. I've read Ayn Rand. She's my favorite. She changed my life. I read it all. I read it all. I read it." And then my response is, my observation is, I like listening to the book as opposed to people's opinions about the book, personally.
Well, that's that's just not this. You can't even compare them. That's two different things. Yeah, reading Ayn Rand or listening to it is a different thing than listening to somebody whine or talk about how much they love Ayn Rand.
Some people really love her.
Well, she's a big deal. Yeah, again, that's all part of the old world.
She makes, in one chapter, she's talking about how we need separation of state and capital in the same way that we have separation of church and state. And that makes sense. She calls it laissez-faire capitalism, pure capitalism. But it's just never been accomplished, even in the beginning of America, etc. There's always been state capital intervention.
Well, but there's always been capitalism. But this kind of capitalism I mean is individual capitalism. If I have some skill or something, and you have some need for it, and you and I can come to some arrangement to exchange our skills or property for both of our benefit, and I think that you can do that on a larger scale, but not corporately. You can't do it for corporate investors. You have to do it because it's between you and me, and we're both responsible, for the outcome and impact.
Tell that to a K Street law firm lobbyist that makes $200 million a year.
I'm sorry, what?
I said there's lobbyists in D.C. That work on behalf of the pharmaceutical and all the industries that you know,
Yeah,
make
that's
hundreds
it.
of millions a year.
It's sick. It's time for a new world. This present organization of humanity is just no good. It worked. It got us through a period that we needed it, and now it's time to grow the fuck up.
But Heron, what if you're wrong?
Well, then too bad.
Because the only reason I say what if you're wrong is because
Well,
there's
if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't really give a shit. I don't know. None of us knows really what the fuck is going on. We just all got our own little stories about how we think it's going to be or what's going on. I know mine is way offline from most people's, but I don't give a shit. You know, it's the best story I can come up with. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
no, I mean wrong about like the massive change that you think is coming.
Yeah,
And
if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
the only reason I say
we'll know in the next couple of years. Like I say, I think we'll know certainly within 5 years.
only reason I say it,
Two.
only reason I challenge it is because of the saying that there's nothing new under the sun, or everything that
bullshit. Go on.
everything that is has already been.
No, that's so. They've been saying that for thousands of years. They're wrong. This is new. There's never been anything like this before.
But what
What's
if
coming is new?
What if there are laws or symbols that are ancient and eternal, and therefore,
I don't even know what that means. Ancient, eternal laws that are eternal. That's nonsense. That's puffs of air that sound like they ought to mean something and are meaningless.
Well, this is what I guess going back to the subjective reality versus the objective reality, where I think the mixture or combination is the synthesis of life, and it's essential. It's an essential ingredient.
Yeah, okay. Listen, you're welcome to your story is different than mine. So I'm not gonna, you know.
Yeah, it's my universe, not versus your universe. It's just your universe and my universe.
Yeah, and yours. You got your way of thinking about things, and I have my way, and that's fine. But I'm not really interested in other people's ways. That's the thing. Hold on. Oh, it's 6 o'clock already. Wow. Hold on. You turned this off. All right. Yeah. Now I forgot where I was.
Well, I guess, in terms of like linguistics, language, symbols, hieroglyphs, communication, it's a little bit like a tennis match where the winner, the supposed winner, is able, to serve the best volley, which,
What do you mean by winner? Is there a winner? Does that have anything at all to do with people communicating? That somebody has to be a winner?
I'm just kind of trying to use it as like a made up bullshit metaphor, like a lot of people do on this app.
Good one. I don't think it's a very good one. I think it's forcing you into a competition, and it's not necessary.
Well, I personally hate when people do what I just did, but I thought I'd try it.
Listen, I do that too. I find myself saying shit that I think is just completely full of shit sometimes. So, but usually I catch myself.
Have you ever read the Egyptian Book of the Dead?
No.
Yeah, that is a remarkable book, and there's, I like Aleister Crowley, poet and occultist. I think through him, I saw this. I bought a book on it. It's called the Isis Tablet, and it's I think they have copper and gold, but it's thousands of years old. It's still intact today, and the interpretation of those hieroglyphs is very interesting because it's like an Egyptian ceremony or magic ritual, and it's just a very interesting read about what the hieroglyphics say. And if you're interested in enlightenment, it's just a very interesting art. It's because it's an piece of artwork, but it's really like AI in a way, or a code of some sort. Maybe to the myth. But to like the casual observer, maybe it's just art. But if you try to Yeah, that's the essence of meditation. I was at a park one time and there was this gentleman playing the guitar and he was so good. And he actually had CDs and I bought his CD. He was like a jazz singer here in Chicago his whole life. And I said, "So
Yeah.
what do you do now?" He goes, "I just meditate." I was like, "That's all you do? That's all you do now?" He said, "Yeah, I stayed home and I meditate. I meditate all day."
Can't imagine that. That sounds boring to hell. I think I should go check in somewhere.
That's kind of what I thought, but I think what he really meant was he's just like chilling, relaxing, not stressing.
Yeah, well, then you should be more careful. Again, see, that's the thing. If people use language more appropriately, who knows what kinds of connections could be made when we talk to one another. Anyway, yeah, saying he meditates all day. Maybe he does. Maybe that's what he does. Maybe he just sits there in lotus.
No, I mean,
There
see,
are
that's
people that do that.
that's our condition. That's what we think meditation is. But the guy was a musician, so maybe he was saying, all of life is a meditation.
Well, yeah, well, in a sense, yeah, in a sense, that's sort of what I do. I mean, I was, I got into this shit, so I spent years meditating. But it worked, so like,
Yeah, I want to quiet my language machine and only use it for productive. Yeah.
yeah, it's real good for a lot of things, and totally useless and obnoxious in other situations.
Yeah. Sometimes it's fun to just let it run on automatic,
Well,
but
yeah, yes, of course.
I have found that you can't be a.
The thing is, listen, the key is really simple. If you're trying to self-medicate or anything, if you're not happy about anything, something that you should do is just stop and listen to your language and find out what fucking story is running in there. Then if there's real possibilities, it's bullshit, which is the truth 98% of the time. It's just you wrapped up in some bullshit story going on. Or there's actually some real problem that you're going to have to pay attention to. In which case, then you're not just whining about shit. You actually identify, okay, there's a real problem here. What do I have to do to change it? And that's the whole thing is simple. It's simple because if I'm not feeling good about anything, if I notice it, that's the issue, is if I notice it. But if I notice that something's bugging me, I stop and start listening. And that usually ends the problem
Yeah, I've heard.
within seconds.
I saw a video about that recently as well, about a guy, teaching a personal development course and suggesting to use listening as, your method. But I filed a lawsuit against my former employer, the IRS, the Treasury Department, for sexual harassment, workplace violence, and retaliation. And I talked to the judge today, and it's so interesting talking to a judge and another attorney because part of personal development is basically removing your emotional fluctuation or friction in your communication with other people.
Yeah, unless it serves you. I mean,
Yeah. I
don't
mean,
let it get it. Hold on, I gotta change my AirPods here. Just a second. So let's see if this is automatically. Can you hear me?
yeah.
Oh, and I can hear it. Some of these AirPods, I've got two pair because I have them. I use them all day, so they run out, and I take the fresh ones and put them in, and then start charging the other one. And sometimes they work really great. And sometimes it's because I'm sitting here with a phone, an iPad, and a MacBook, all within 3 feet of each other on my bed. And So the poor AirPods never know where to hook up. Anyway, go on.
The judge says to me, is this is your claim based on actual physical or mental harm, or is this claim based on your emotions? And I said, no, this is based on actual physical, mental suffering, harm, not my emotions. And it's just so funny how it's like, well, if you're a judge or a lawyer and you're sophisticated and you're successful, you meet all kinds of emotionally irrational, low IQ vagabonds, I'm
Oh,
sure.
yeah, right, yeah.
So,
Yeah, they probably get pretty good. Well, they could be very good or very bad. They could become very sure of themselves, in a bad way. They just think they really know. On the other hand, they might become very tuned in to bullshit, So, yeah, it depends on the individual. That's the thing, is you never can tell. It really depends on the individual in front of you, who they are. You can't tell, at least I can't, until I've engaged them for a, minute or two.
yeah, it's important to interview people thoroughly before hiring them.
Oh, fuck yes. For 3 months.
This is why I applied for this one job in Los Angeles for this company called leadbolt.com, and the CEO, Darren, made me write him essays prior to giving me a job
Oh,
job
really?
offer.
Good for him.
Yeah.
All right.
His essay was on augmented. My essay that I had to write was on augmented reality and other topics, but.
And how long an essay?
I don't know, probably 3 pages, 2 pages.
Yeah.
Nothing serious.
Yeah. Are you a pretty good writer?
I don't really write anymore like college essays, but I do so much on X and Instagram that
Well, I mean, do you can you write an essay? And to make a point of view that you want to make.
yeah.
And write it out and present it.
Yeah, I took English literature and writing in college, and I had a good professor, and
See, I struggle with that. That's really difficult for me. AI is beginning to change all that now, but yeah.
Yeah, if I read I read a college essay I wrote on the movie Gladiator, and I was like, holy shit! I was like, I wrote better my freshman year in college than I can write now in my 40s. What? Who the hell was I? That was amazing.
Yeah, really, that's good. Good eye opener, isn't it?
But it was really.
I've never been happy with anything I've written. Well, listen. I'm 80 years old, and honestly, I've written 851 words that I'm pleased with. It's like 20 statements, some very short, some a little bit longer, but that's it. Everything else is just, oh, me struggling to get something coherent on paper.
Well, I read The Wisdom of Insecurity by Alan Watts, and
Yeah.
I was incorporating his philosophy into my essays in college, and my professor really liked the one statement that life is not a reality to be explained, but a reality to be experienced.
Yeah. Not a problem to be solved,
right.
But a reality to be experienced.
Yeah. So in terms of like doing and karma versus talking, I'm a shower, not a talker. That's my motto. I don't want to tell you, I want to show you.
I think we need to be both.
A teller and a shower?
Yeah, I think talking it's just an independent, and it's not talking, it's about formulating language accurately.
Yeah.
And that's important, not even for communication, but internally as you think about stuff. It's important to clean that structure up. And that makes, if we can do that, that's one little step to making it easier for other people to understand.
Well, I guess my complaint is that I find it annoying that I have associates or friends that are always talking about doing something. And then my response is, oh, guess what? We're doing it right now. and they're like unaware of that.
Oh, so why do you hang around with people like that?
Because associates or friends, I think one regret I have in my life is that my disposition at times was misinterpreted as being, an asshole. When I maybe I kind of had a purpose behind my demeanor or behavior.
Oh yeah. Listen, I was an asshole for years. I didn't know that was specifically what I was, but I look back on it now and see, and I did it intentionally. I did it because I was trying to keep the morons away from me.
Mm-hmm.
And if I took a certain attitude, people who were smart could sort of pick up on it, but other people were really put off by it and would leave me alone. And it worked really well for a long time. But then I began to want to be able to communicate with people, and I realized I had these behaviors that were just designed to put everybody off. So I'm still working on changing that.
Well, I like to use the term ad hominem projection a lot. People on this app, there's like observable psychological concepts like projection. And when somebody, makes an ad hominem against somebody, says, "You are a dumb motherfucker." Oh, well, guess what?
Yeah.
You are the dumb
Listen,
motherfucker.
I don't even waste my time understanding or analyzing that kind of shit. That what is to be gained by even just by spending your time trying to understand it? Who cares? You're looking at it's like getting involved in a dogfight. You know, it's
Well,
stupid. Stay the
Watt.
fuck away from places like that.
Well, Alan Watts says that the mystic sage never, ever, ever criticizes anyone, and it's a little bit like,
Unless it's absolutely necessary.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if somebody doesn't get Zen, you could always slap them in the face.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I just find it easier to not get involved. Yeah, I'd much rather just be here with my dogs. And when I'm around people, I want to make sure that I'm around people in such a way that there's going to be some value to either me or to somebody else. And if I can't justify it on that means, then I'm going to stay home. I don't need to go anywhere. I'm retired. Fuck it. But if there's some opportunity to expand consciousness in the world somewhere on either mine or anybody else's, I'm in for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this app, that's really what the internet and this app is, in my opinion, what makes it more fun for you, the game player. I just wish people knew more about it because I could go to the casino right now and there are people putting all their money into a pop-up cell phone, which is mesmerizing and hypnotizing them. And they have to have a basic understanding of mathematics and law of large numbers and probabilities and statistics, and to just know that they're being entertained by that slot machine, but it's really no different than looking at your fucking cell phone for free. Why dump all your money in a slot machine? How stupid could you be? But
Well, most people literally, I'll just say, there's really nobody home. We are large language models. They simply are badly trained neural nets that are responding to the prompts they get, and that's how they have been trained, and that's what they do, and there's nobody there to even question it.
mm-hmm.
It's just the behavior pattern that's become established. It can be changed, but again, it's radical to. I mean, the whole approach is just so weird to most people that they can't even conceive of it. That's okay. Listen, we're at a transition point in Earth's history. A lot of people could be dead in the next couple of decades. The transition is getting weird now. It's probably going to get weirder before it gets better. And how weird and how bad it's going to get, I don't know. But it's not beyond the possibility that like 80% of humans could be dead in the next decade or two.
Well, even your observations or opinions, like how do you rationalize your own mortality? Everybody has 2.5 billion seconds.
Why is there a need to rationalize it?
Because, we all have an expiration clock.
No, we don't. No, let's talk about you and the people you know.
Well, what I'm trying to, I guess, get at is
Oh, objective reality. I got it. There really is a world out there that really does have laws and shit, and there's no way to violate any of that shit because that's impossible because of reality.
we are having a very generalized conversation. How do you prioritize your communication?
Well, I'm really only interested in communicating for probably 2 or 3 very specific instances. There are people I know who give a shit about this that are nice people, and I have simple conversations with them about the weather and whatever, but they're pleasant and short, and I have no problem with that. That's fine. And then there are people who can teach me stuff, or people I can teach stuff to, and that's way better. That's the best. If I can learn something, or if I can teach something, that's as good as it gets. And then there's a whole lot of people. Well, then there's attractive women. Still, that always changes things, so we can go with that for a while. Other than that, I have no interest in talking to people. I mean, yeah, the idea of going to some place and, with a bunch of people that I've never met and talk about whatever is going on. But see, even in that, I'd be there as a researcher, and I'd try to find something. Yeah, I'd be there and I'd find something interesting, or I'd get the fuck out of there. So I don't have much need to talk to people, really, or most people anyway. I'm done. Apparently you're done. Well, luckily, I have stuff to do, and I'm right in the middle of doing it. So I'm here, and if anybody wants to talk, well, I'm going to put some music on. Oh, I have an alarm going off somewhere here. What is it for? Oh, that. Well, I'm going to come back in a little bit.
Hey, sorry about that. I had to run outside and turn the sprinkler off.
Um, so did you not hear anything of what I said or what?
I heard the first part of what you said, but not the other two parts. You said there were 3 parts or 4 parts?
I don't know, but it would have been nice if you said something instead of just drop out. You know.
It was kind of an emergency
No,
situation.
fuck you. That's not a, you mean middle of something I'm trying to explain, walk away and leave me yakking into the air.
No, it's not going into the air. It's going into 20 different cell phones live on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, in any case, I gotta take a break for a couple minutes because I gotta go take my vitamins and brush my teeth and stuff. And so I'm gonna be away for like 5 minutes, but I'll be
Okay.
back and we'll deal with it then.
It's okay. God bless. Great chatting with you. Have a great evening.
Lower ratio of civilians than is the IDF has in this war.
Okay. At least let's get a percentage of the numbers. So what is 95,000? What percentage is that of a million?
Not sure. Are you asking me to do math for you?
I figure, you know the math of your own people, but not
Let's go on real quick.
Okay. Sure.
This has been good. This has been, so, I think at the end of the day, Pockets, you're ultimately, what are you trying to
The hypocrisy was my point, Amari. That was just the hypocrisy.
What's hypocritical? What's the hypocritical?
You'll never understand, Normal. I'm not talking to you.
Give me a second.
I'm not going to argue this.
We were talking a second ago.
No. I realize I'm stupid for that.
I don't know, go ahead, Pockets, take about two minutes.
Yeah, no.
Like, you don't need 2 minutes? Just explain the hypocrisy that you're trying to share with the room.
Yeah, I'm just trying to share the fact, and I think Sandra got it. I think other people got it. I'm not trying to. I wasn't talking to El Normal. I'm not trying to argue with El Normal either. I think the idea. Yeah, I'm really not. I think people who understand, and I think there's nothing wrong with admitting that your government is acting a little, I don't know, out of sorts. When it comes to certain wars, when it comes to certain choices. If we can admit that our government is sick in the head, that our president is doing something wrong, everybody can admit that their government is doing something out of whack. There is no perfect government. No such thing as a perfect politician. No such thing as a politician acting out of goodwill at all times. We are in a greedy, gluttonous world where people want money, people want power, people want land, people want territory. And the fact that just people cannot admit that their government is like, hey, just wanting land, power, and territory, and wanting control. There's nothing wrong. Just
Don't
say,
forget about security Pockets. People want security. They want safety. They want law enforcement.
You didn't know that we withdrew from Gaza in 2005 entirely. We forgot that part.
Oh, I know this war has been going on for decades.
No, I said we withdrew entirely. Every single Jew alive or dead withdrew from Gaza in 2005. And that was a little experiment for the two-state solution because they could have made a beautiful place out of it. Instead, they did one of the great engineering feats of all time. They built those terror tunnels. They used our aid, American aid, as well as European Union and Arab aid, to build those terror tunnels, and then they attacked with the idea of destroying Israel. That was on October 7th, and they failed. Hezbollah was supposed to attack at the same time. They didn't because they didn't trust each other. And Syria was supposed to attack. Hezbollah was in Syria as well. Had that happened, it would have been much worse for Israel. If you remember, the Houthis in Yemen to the south also attacked at the same time. That was the plan, the genocide of Israel. But they failed, and we responded. And now we hold about half the territory, and I would say the estimate from Hamas is about 70,000 dead, and we estimate, you said you got 18,500, I'm saying maybe 20 to 30,000 militants, and they're always brewing and grooming more militants. And by the way, in response to the title of the room, you can show me, I don't think a single Palestinian has been kicked out of Gaza. They're now holding about 45% of the territory, and Israel is holding about the other 55% or so.
Wow.
And nobody's been kicked out.
Majority share. I love that.
And Egypt won't let them in, by the way. I've never seen a
Shout
war
out to
zone.
majority share.
I've never seen a war zone. I've never seen a war zone.
Mods.
We hear you, Michelle.
Pull and post the article from the Guardian about is published today about the Palestinians being kicked out of Gaza. So you post it in the banner and post it in the room. I appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Yes, please do so.
So I have a question. I have a question. I have a question. Wait, Normal, you talk so much. Please, let me in. Thank you. So my question was going to be, like, the people that are saying that there are Palestinians being removed from Gaza, like, where are they going? Like, I'm just
I have to disagree, Mother. El Normo doesn't talk so much. You talk so much. That's your projection. El Normo is giving you facts.
Hey, can you be useful? Like, this is the John Kitover show. That was a serious question.
Mother, this is... Oh! I got kicked.
References that my assumption was that no country was accepting them. That's where I'm coming from. Because the people are saying they're being pushed out, where are they going to? Or who's accepting them?
So I read that that Israeli forces have repeatedly ordered civilians to have certain areas before to leave certain areas before military operations. Israel says these evacuations are intended to move civilians away from combat zones. Interesting enough, because they're going to bomb.
Oh, okay, so I understand now. So you're saying they're being moved within the Gaza territory, not being moved out of Gaza. Okay, I misunderstood.
They're being voluntary immigration of Palestinians.
Hello?
They're being kicked out of Gaza.
So we'll call the apartment.
Yes, where's the apartment at?
No one's being
It's
kicked out.
4901 Mortimer.
That's amazing. I didn't know you were there. Take some pictures for me. Send us an update.
Pause, hold on.
Why do you post every day when you barely get 100 likes?
100 likes means 100 people took the time to watch. See, the good thing about not living in Cali is I can carry around shit like this, bro. Like, I ain't gotta stick to 10 shots just in case the niggas come and get me. I can have at least 30. See, the
Human rights groups and lawyers say voluntary migration policy amounts to ethnic cleansing. Israeli defense minister said he is committed to the ethnic cleansing of Gaza through large-scale migration of Palestinians as part of Israel's long-term plans for the territory. Israel said the government would implement a plan for a large number of Palestinians to leave Gaza at the right time and in the right manner. In a statement on Wednesday marking the targeted killing.
What they're doing is so good. It's so good.
Hamas most recently pushing mass deportation violates Donald Trump's ceasefire plan for Gaza.
This guy.
God. So
we're going to
Because of the power of our military.
When you get back.
you need to go to the Gaza. I'm trying to give you some.
This is the world famous Raw unboxing. Go to ChicagoMayorVote.com. We also have the vanilla milkshake and super dog. Pure heaven. Go to ChicagoMayorVote.com.
Yeah, I looked at that
This is the
article.
world famous super raw unboxing. Go to ChicagoMayorVote.com. We also have the vanilla milkshake and super dog. Pure
I've
heaven.
never heard of
Go
a
to
war zone in which civilians were not allowed to leave. The fact that Egypt didn't allow them in during the war is a historical exception.
How are they supposed to get out
Civilians in war zones, the civilians in war zones always want to leave, and they should be allowed to leave.
How are they supposed to get out? Does anyone know how these people
Through
get out?
Rafah, yes, through the Rafah crossing, yes.
Real quick,
Interesting.
hold on, real quick, podcast. Yeah, so this means we were going to wait to really jump into this topic until you get back because I was told to play just regular clips until you get back.
See, the good thing about not living in Cali is I can carry around shit like this, bro. Like, I ain't gotta stick to 10 shots just in case the motherfucking
the nigga.
They're opening enough, they're setting enough precedent that,
No, you're good. You're good.
plan because of the power of our military. That makes me the person who won the...
Mohammed, are you? Did you want to talk about the topic, or was there something else that you came on stage to discuss? Yes. Welcome to the 420.
How are you doing?
Good. It looks like you got Egypt behind you. Are you Egyptian?
Yes, I'm Egyptian.
So,
civilians in war zones.
Palestinians in. Do you want to address why, possibly?
Normally, what we want is not letting the Palestinian and we would like to join the war beside them. But we do not control everything because we don't have elections, we don't have anything. That's number one. Number two, if we let them in, they will not be able to come back to go back to Gaza. Until now, we have refugees in Egypt that were kicked out away in 1967 and 73. Palestinian refugees in Syria, Jordan, in Lebanon, everywhere in the region. They are not allowed to come back. Same thing was going to happen if we allowed them to come here. They would never be able to re-enter Gaza forever.
And who
That's
said,
why,
who said that? Who said that they couldn't come back?
Let them land. Then you can.
the history says that till today there are still Palestinian refugees in Jordan, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Egypt.
They're from Jordan. Jordan is part of his.
Stop interrupting him, Norm. Shut the fuck up.
Well, he just made us.
What about Syria and Lebanon? What about Syria and Lebanon? Why do we still have Palestinians over there? Why do we have a condition in Oslo agreement that says one of the main rights of Palestinians is to come back to their land, an Oslo agreement? Why do we have this
on their
condition?
being peaceful. Dependent
What
on
part of stop
terror.
interrupting our you're not understanding, Norman?
He's talking to me. He's listening.
It's rhetorical. Let him finish. Let him finish.
Please. Let me finish, please. The fact that we have this condition in Oslo agreement is that because many Palestinians were kicked out in the region, and the government of Israel didn't allow them to come back to the region even after Oslo agreement. So the same thing was going to happen in this war and forever. They would never be allowed to come back to Gaza if we allow them. If we know that Israel will allow them to come back, it would be our pleasure to have them and to provide everything for them. But we don't have a choice. Either we go for war and the US will start aiding Israel against Egypt, and like this will destroy our country, or we do what we did. We refuse to allow them in, and we try to help them with humanitarian aids, for example. That's exactly what we did. That's my answer.
No, you just made up the story that they weren't going to be allowed. Nobody said that, actually. Islam never said that.
History said this, Mr.
History is not.
The history said this.
What is history says that when they attacked
Mohammed, just let him finish, and then you can return.
Usually, women and children are allowed to leave a war zone. Why you allow it beyond me? Not only did you allow it, but you did wall after wall after wall on your side of the border with Gaza after the Rafah crossing. You prevent them from coming in. Those people think the reason you didn't let them in is because you know very well they won't come up with brotherhood. And then they have the word that you don't want them in the timeline, which is what makes it down.
Questions. So first question, you told me that I am inventing the story that they wouldn't be allowed to come in Gaza. I think you might want to have Palestinians in Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and Egypt. Why do you still have refugees over there? They were not allowed to come
He let you finish, Norman.
We're gonna play another clip after that, and then we'll have. I think Lisa will make sure because actually wants to dive into this. But Mohammed, please land. Is there anything else you got to say before we play our next clip?
Yes, he said that. Just a second, please.
It's no problem. But Mohammed, even after you land, if you want us to hang around for the conversation, please do hang around. I see that you have a pink ticket, so we always love hearing new voices adding to the conversation. Thank you.
Yes, I'm saying that he said that we don't want Palestinians in because they are part of Muslim Brotherhood. I don't know what that means, but the only thing that he has to know that all people here in Egypt, they have the same position for Israel. Even Coptic Egyptians, they don't support Israel, they hate Israel. So this is not logical what he said.
You built walls to keep them out.
Amari,
You did not allow
can
them
you play the
into,
clip now?
you did not allow them into Gaza before
Norman,
the
you're
war.
literally repeating yourself.
Thank you.
Okay?
No, I appreciate that.
Well, why didn't
We get, Norman, we get, because it wasn't actually, he didn't ask you a question. Thank you.
I asked him a question.
Well, I don't want you to answer him. I don't want you to ask him any further questions. We asked him to land. Do not ask him any further questions, especially if all you're going to do is repeat your shtick and keep going on.
I don't have a shtick. I state facts.
You do. We
I
all know.
state
Sure.
facts.
Well, then what you said was not a fact because the Egyptian government has been very clear about why they're not letting in the Palestinians.
Why did they build
But
a wall?
that's a fact.
Why did
While you're talking facts,
Why
excuse
didn't
me,
they let women and
you know
children
what? We're gonna get into a good deep dive of this a little later once Lisa comes back. So you just hold your tongue, okay? Thank you.
So next we're gonna go what's going on in, we're gonna go back to the States here. We're gonna come back to America. And what's going on in New Jersey in regards to the standoff between anti-ICE protesters and Border Patrol and ICE agents. Here we go.
New video showing a garbage truck driver confronting anti-ICE protesters in New Jersey. A facility has been under siege by demonstrators for several days. Correspondent Alexis McAdams shows us again tonight.
So you can't see the video, but there's a black dude driving, and he's holding a gun, it looks like, in his hand. So pretty crazy shit. Here we go.
Anti-ICE protesters in New Jersey blocking the roads, stopping working people from getting to their jobs, like this truck driver who finally had it. This is riders faced off with federal agents again, demanding the Delaney Hall detention facility in Newark close down, harassing law enforcement with messages
global settlement may be coming in 2026.
Illinois staff.
And I was like, everybody like this, hey, you don't have fun. This is a husband? This is a church leader who redundantly just talks to Muslims all day long as if he's a crusader? There's some game, and I'm going to keep playing. This act.
in this book that is written by the book out of the book. Like a so, you know what they did about it. They're the hypocrites. So then they're the believers. Now he's giving you the action. The disbelievers, look at the disbelievers with the language. Just like in the people of the who have doubts, now they have certainty that this is coming from God. Why is God letting out of human? That will increase the faith of the faithful ones. You hear this and your faith increases and you're happy. That's the good news. You think, I am Papa Levino, who pick up a somebody pray. Can they meet it, please? So to increase the faith of the faithful one. And 5. وليقول الذين في قلوبهم مرض الكافرون to expose now.
Again, straight horror moves. What do you think about? See, straightening it out is the same as a resurrection.
But the hypocrites, those claiming to be believing in Allah and judging by anything else, they be in the bottom of the hellfire. So you better deny Allah, that to act like you to pretend that you believe in Allah. Because he will be way harder and maybe a double loss. So those new group will say, what does Allah? They will start to criticize this 19. They can't. Like I told you. Write down verse 1. Open the book. Simple. But chapter 1, down 1. Look, how many verses? 7. Followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are down 2. It's chapter 2. Look at it. How many verses? 286. Write down 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 286. Do it for every chapter. Chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6, chapter 7, all the way to chapter 114. Write down 114, followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because chapter 114 has 6 verses. You got a number long. 10 digits, that's a billion. This is a 12,692 digits number. Do you hear me? 12,692 digits. That's a multiple of 19. Do you know what that means? No, he said, no, don't do that now. Maybe they have this something. Maybe they got the same number of verses or something. Oh, maybe somebody. But we know now, nobody can move a chapter. If chapter 1 is not chapter 1, followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's it. The miracle is gone. You can. The order of chapters is locked. The number of verses locked. If you add any verse or subtract any verse to any chapter, gone. Miracle gone. It's not a miracle of 19. He said, okay, now let's lock it by the number of verses. Now, instead of writing the number of the surah, go ahead and write the number of verses in the surah. Go to chapter 1. Okay, it's 1. So how many verses in? 7. So write down 7. To make sure there's 7 verses in chapter 1. Write down first, followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, that's the number of verses of chapter 1. And then followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Followed by 286. The number of verses on chapter 2. Followed by 1 to 286. You do it for every chapter. When you got to chapter 114, you don't write down 114, you write down 6. But there's a number of verses in chapter 114. Followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Also a multiple of 19. Ooh. He said, no, that's not enough. Now we're going to do this. We're going to write down the number of chapter. We can write down the number of verses in the chapter. And we're going to write down number, whatever else. We're going to combine the two. There and added 1. First, he wrote only the number of the chapter. Second, he wrote only the the number of verses. Now you put a number of chapter. You write down the number of verses in the chapter. Then you followed by the order of the chapter in the Quran. Before adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. Also, a multiple of 19. Do you know how hard it is to multiply, to divide a number by 19? 19 is a prime number. Only 5% of the numbers are multiple of 19, from 1 to 100. It's 19, it's 38, it's 57, 76, 95. That's it. Everything in the Quran is a multiple of 19, and Allah is the one that's the number of chapter 114 divided by 19. That's 6. The number of verses, 6,346 divided by 19 is 90 times 334. The number of Allah in the Quran, 2,698. Also 190. This is just containing the name Allah. Forget about the rest of it. Whenever you find Allah, take. Forget about the number of Allah. It's 2,698. It's 19 times 142. Now just go by every verse having name Allah in it. The number of the verse. Verse 1, it's verse 7, it's verse 16, it's verse 208, plus. It's 8, it's 118,123. That's a multiple of 19. The number of time numbers are in the Quran. 30 numbers are in the Quran. If you add them all up, it's a multiple of 19. If you add them, use one time or with the repetitions, also. What do you want? Is that enough? Who would do that? Who could do this? I can go on for 100 for the rest of my life talking about those miracles. The miracle of Jesus, the miracle of Moses, the miracle of Noah. Let me give you one of Noah. We all know about the history of, what's going on with Noah. It's the same. The Bible, whatever. That's the water invading people, right? A lot of people drowned and died, right? That's how he took the boat and went to wherever he went. But Allah is narrating the story. But you see random names sometimes. You think it's a random. Allah talk about Moses here,
and the people that supported it, I also told them that they were wrong, and so I just want to say that right now. So I don't think we need to big mic. I do think that this situation is new to certain people in the room. But yeah, I'm just gonna go on mute. Just in case you may have overlooked it, someone said, just mute up and send the pics. Thanks. Mute up! Send them pics, Garrett.
I also would like to say, I did lie earlier. I don't sell titty pics for cash apps, as a certain person said. I send them for free. I work for free.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah.
Just put me in a tailspin. Oh.
Yeah. I think for sale.
Check in the back channel.
Yeah, I see. The thing is, I have a career. There's no broke bitch energy over here, and tying me, tying me to an unfortunate situation.
Hello?
Of a person that
Hello?
reached out to me and their
Hello?
was also just, I could really go down the line, and it's like, yeah, nah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not gonna do that. I didn't think anything about that situation was anything that someone should want to bang on somebody about, especially me. I'm confused. Like, So now I'm broke because I'm not about to come out of pocket $3,500 for somebody else's daddy homegoing. Like, come on now, make it make sense. Like make it make sense. No, I gave what I gave, and then I came and brought her where I felt like there would be compassionate people who wouldn't mind helping her. Because let's wake up, we've spent a lot of money on this app for less. So I just thought that was fit. It wasn't necessary. And I stand on it.
Stand
When
on
I see that
business.
motherfucker again,
Stand on my
I'ma
business.
stand on it